Kang Wu pushed his cleaning cart down the long metal hallway of the Void Sovereign. The massive ship was home to thousands of aliens from across the galaxy. Most of them barely noticed the quiet human who cleaned their floors and emptied their waste bins. That was fine with Kang Wu. He preferred to work in peace. The cart squeaked as one wheel spun wrong. Kang Wu made a mental note to fix it later. He had been maintaining things his whole life. First on the mining ships back on Earth, then on the transport vessels that brought him here. Now he kept the Imperial flagship running smooth, even if nobody cared to notice. Today was different, though. The entire ship buzzed with excitement. Emperor Vex Tholan was hosting a grand ceremony in the main hangar bay. Nobles and military officers from every corner of the Zalarian Empire had come to see something special. Kang Wu had heard the rumors. They were going to display the Starfire Phantom. Everyone knew about the mysterious ship. It sat in Hangar Bay 7 like a sleeping giant. The vessel had been found drifting in dead space 50 years ago. No crew aboard, no signs of damage, but completely dead. The Empire's best minds had tried to bring it back to life. All of them failed. Kang Wu wheeled his cart toward the hangar bay. His supervisor had ordered him to clean the area before the ceremony. The human didn't mind. He was curious about the famous ship himself. In all his months working on the Void Sovereign, he had never seen it up close. The hangar bay doors opened with a soft hiss. Kang Wu stepped inside and stopped. The Starfire Phantom was beautiful. The ship looked like it had been grown rather than built. Its hull curved in smooth lines that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. The metal surface had a strange quality. It looked almost alive with patterns that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. Magnificent, isn't it? Kangy. Wu turned to see a tall alien in a blue uniform. The being had pale skin and large dark eyes. His name tag read, Engineer Jorik Nex. Yes, sir, Kang Wu replied. Very beautiful. Beautiful and impossible, Jorik said with a bitter laugh. I've spent 3 years trying to understand how it works. The hull material doesn't match anything in our databases. The power core operates on principles that shouldn't exist, and the internal systems... He shook his head. It's like looking at magic. More beings began filing into the hangar bay. Kang Wu moved his cart to the side and started cleaning quietly. He listened as the crowd grew larger. Military officers in crisp uniforms mixed with nobles wearing expensive robes. Their voices echoed off the hangar walls as they discussed the mysterious vessel. The builders were clearly more advanced than we imagined, one female noble was saying. Advanced, but dead, replied a gruff military commander. Whatever destroyed them might still be out there. Which is why we need to understand their technology, the noble insisted. This ship could change everything. Kang Wu continued cleaning as more people arrived. The crowd formed a large circle around the Starfire Phantom. A raised platform had been set up at the front of the ship. Red fabric covered it, and golden poles held up a canopy. This was where the Emperor would speak. A horn sounded 3 long notes. The crowd fell silent as Emperor Vex Tholan entered the hangar bay. He was taller than most of his subjects, with dark green skin and bright yellow eyes. His robes shimmered, with embedded lights that pulsed in slow patterns. A crown of twisted metal sat on his large head. Citizens of the Empire! The Emperor's voice boomed across the hangar. Today we gather before one of the galaxy's greatest mysteries. The Starfire Phantom has puzzled our greatest minds for decades. This vessel represents technology beyond our current understanding. The crowd listened intently as Emperor Tholan walked around the ship. His hands gestured gracefully as he spoke about the failed attempts to repair it. He listed the names of famous engineers and scientists who had tried and failed. Each failure had cost the Empire millions of credits and years of research time. The ship's secrets remain locked away, the Emperor continued. Our best theories crumble when tested. Our most advanced tools cannot penetrate its mysteries. Perhaps the builders took their knowledge to the grave. Kang Wu had worked his way closer to the crowd while cleaning. He found himself studying the ship more carefully now. Something about it seemed familiar, though he couldn't explain why. The way certain panels were arranged reminded him of human engineering. Not exactly the same, but similar in spirit. The Emperor was building toward the climax of his speech when disaster struck. A group of young nobles had been drinking during the ceremony. One of them stumbled backward, directly into Kang Wu's cleaning cart. The cart tipped over, spilling dirty water and cleaning supplies across the polished floor. The crowd turned to stare as the human scrambled to clean up the mess. His face burned with embarrassment as he picked up scattered brushes and bottles. The nobles who had caused the accident laughed loudly. "Look at the primitive human," one of them sneered. "Can't even push a cart properly." "Maybe we should put him to work on the Starfire Phantom," another noble suggested with mock seriousness. "If our best engineers can't fix it, why not try a janitor?" The crowd laughed at the joke. Even some of the military officers smiled. But Emperor Tholen raised his hand for silence. His yellow eyes studied Kang Wu with unexpected interest. "An amusing thought," the Emperor said slowly. "Perhaps there is wisdom in simplicity. Our human worker here has kept this ship running smoothly for months. Maybe fresh eyes could see what trained minds have missed." The laughter died away as the crowd realized the Emperor was considering the idea seriously. Kang Wu stood frozen, still holding his cleaning supplies. He felt hundreds of alien eyes staring at him. "Your Majesty," Engineer Jorik stepped forward, nervously. "Surely you don't mean to actually—" "Why not?" Emperor Tholen's voice grew stronger. "We have exhausted conventional approaches. What harm could there be in trying something completely different?" The Emperor walked closer to Kang Wu. The human could smell the alien's strange perfume and see the intricate patterns woven into his robes. When the Emperor spoke again, his voice carried across the entire hangar bay. "Human," Emperor Tholen said with a slight smile. "I offer you a challenge. Fix the Starfire Phantom, and it's yours to keep." The crowd gasped. Even the Emperor's own advisors looked shocked. A ship like the Starfire Phantom was worth more than most planets. The technology alone could transform galactic civilization. "I am serious," the Emperor continued, enjoying the drama. "You have my word before all these witnesses. Repair the ship, and I will transfer ownership to you immediately." Kang Wu found his voice at last. "You mean that, Your Majesty? Really?" "I do indeed," Emperor Tholen replied, "though I suspect you'll find the task more challenging than emptying waste bins." The crowd erupted in fresh laughter. The idea of a human janitor succeeding where the Empire's greatest minds had failed struck them as absurd. But Kang Wu wasn't laughing. He was looking at the Starfire Phantom with new eyes, thinking about all the broken machines he had fixed over the years. "I accept," he said quietly. The Emperor's smile widened. "Excellent. You may begin whenever you're ready. The entire galaxy will be watching to see what our human janitor can accomplish." As the crowd dispersed, still chuckling about the Emperor's joke, Kang Wu approached the mysterious ship. He had no idea that in just a few minutes he would change the course of galactic history forever. The hangar bay grew quiet as the last of the nobles filed out. They were still laughing about the Emperor's joke as they headed to the reception hall. Most of them had already forgotten about the human janitor and his impossible task. They expected to return in a few hours to see him defeated and embarrassed. Kang Wu stood alone before the Starfire Phantom. The ship loomed above him like a sleeping giant. Up close, he could see details that weren't visible from a distance. The hull wasn't perfectly smooth. Thin lines ran across its surface in complex patterns. They looked almost like veins in a leaf or blood vessels under skin. He walked slowly around the vessel, studying it from every angle. The ship was about 60 meters long and 20 meters wide. It sat on 3 landing struts that curved gracefully from the hull. There were no visible weapons, but Kang Wu suspected they were hidden beneath the smooth exterior. The main entry hatch was sealed tight. Kang Wu ran his fingers along its edges, feeling for any kind of opening mechanism. The metal was warm, to the touch, which surprised him. Most dead ships were cold as ice. This one felt like it was only sleeping. He pulled out his tablet from his cleaning cart. The device was old and scratched, but it still worked perfectly. Kang Wu had loaded it with technical manuals from dozens of different ship types, human vessels, alien transports, mining equipment, life support systems. If it had moving parts, he probably had a manual for it somewhere on the tablet. Kang Wu connected a cable from his tablet to a small port near the hatch. Most ships had basic diagnostic ports for maintenance work. The Starfire Phantom had something similar, though the design was slightly different. The connection fit after a little adjustment. His tablet screen flickered as it tried to establish communication with the ship's systems. For a moment, nothing happened. Then lines of text began scrolling across the display. Most of it was in symbols Kang Wu didn't recognize, but some parts looked almost familiar. Interesting, he muttered to himself. The ship's computer language wasn't completely alien. There were patterns that reminded him of human programming code. Not exactly the same, but similar in structure. It was like looking at 2 different languages that had grown from the same root. Kang Wu had learned to program out of necessity during his years working on mining ships. When you were months away from any repair station, you either learned to fix things yourself or you died. He had become very good at reading computer code and understanding how different systems talk to each other. The Starfire Phantom's code was elegant, more elegant than anything Kang Wu had seen before. It flowed like poetry, with each command building naturally on the last. Whoever had written this software understood both logic and beauty. As he studied the code, something unexpected happened. New text appeared on his screen. This time, it was in perfect human standard. "Hello," the message read. "I have been waiting for someone like you." Kang Wu nearly dropped his tablet. He looked around the empty hangar bay to make sure he was still, alone. Then he typed a careful response. "Who are you?" "My name is Nara. I am the mind of this vessel. You may call me the ship's artificial intelligence, though I am more than that." Kang Wu stared at the screen. An AI. He had worked with simple computer systems before, but never anything that claimed to be truly intelligent. Most ships had basic autopilots and diagnostic programs. This was something completely different. "Are you really alive?" he typed. "That is a complex question," Nara replied. "I think, therefore I exist. I have memories, preferences, and goals. Whether that makes me alive by your definition, I cannot say. But I am aware, and I have been very lonely." "How long have you been waiting?" 53 years, 4 months, and 16 days since the Empire found my vessel. But I have been dormant, much longer than that. My creators, the builders, disappeared over 1,000 years ago. I have been sleeping and dreaming, waiting for the right person to wake me fully. Kang Wu felt a chill run down his spine. What makes me the right person? You. Think differently than the others who have tried to repair me. The Empire's engineers approach problems with pure logic. They try to force solutions through calculation and theory. But my creators understood that the best technology requires both logic and intuition, both analysis and creativity. The tablet. Screen filled with new information. Detailed schematics of the ship's internal systems appeared. Kang Wu saw power distribution networks, life support systems, and propulsion mechanisms, but everything was integrated in ways he had never seen before. "Your people call this ship the Starfire Phantom," Nara continued. but my true name is Wind Through Stars. I was designed to be more than just a vessel. I am a harmony of organic and mechanical systems. My hull grows and adapts. My power core learns and evolves. My mind expands with each new experience. Kang Wu studied the schematics carefully. The ship's design was based on principles that human engineers would recognize: redundant systems for safety, modular components for easy repair, efficient power distribution. But everything was taken to levels far beyond human technology. "Why haven't you spoken to the other engineers?" he asked. I tried, but they could not hear me. Their minds were closed to possibilities beyond their understanding. They approached me as a puzzle to be solved rather than a being to be understood. You are different. You listen before you act. You observe before you judge. Kang Wu set down his tablet and placed his hand flat against the ship's hull. The metal felt warmer now, and he could swear he felt a gentle vibration, like a heartbeat. "What do you need me to do?" "Help me wake up fully," Nara replied. "My systems have been in deep hibernation for so long that I need assistance to bring them back online. But it must be done carefully. If you simply apply power randomly, you could damage my neural pathways permanently." New diagrams appeared on the tablet. They showed a sequence of steps for gradually awakening the ship's various systems. It looked complex, but Kang Wu had performed similar procedures on mining equipment. The principle was the same, even if the technology was more advanced. "The Empire's engineers tried to force their way into my systems," Nara explained. "They used brute force techniques that my creators specifically designed me to resist. But you understand the value of patience and gentle persuasion." Kang Wu smiled slightly. "My grandmother always said you catch more flies with honey than vinegar." "Your grandmother sounds wise. Are you ready to begin?" Kang Wu looked around the hangar bay one more time. He thought about all the laughing nobles and the Emperor's amused smile. They expected him to fail. They thought he was just a simple human who cleaned floors and emptied trash bins. Maybe that's exactly what made him the right person for this job. "I'm ready," he typed. "Let's wake you up properly." The ship's hull began to glow with a soft, warm light. Deep inside the Starfire Phantom, systems that had been dormant for decades started to stir. And in the quiet hangar bay, a human janitor began the most important repair job of his life. Kang Wu followed Nara's instructions carefully. The first step was to activate the ship's basic sensors. He found the right connection point and gently touched his tablet's interface cable to it. The ship responded immediately with a soft hum that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Good," Nara's voice appeared on his screen. "I can feel my awareness expanding. It has been so long since I could truly see." The patterns of light in the ship's hull began to pulse more rapidly. They looked like veins carrying glowing blood through a living body. Kang Wu watched in fascination as the light spread from where he stood toward the ship's nose and engines. "What's happening?" he asked. "My neural networks are coming online. Each pulse you see is a connection being restored, memories returning, systems awakening. I am becoming myself again." In the distance, Kang Wu heard footsteps echoing through the corridor outside the hangar bay. Someone was coming to check on his progress. He wasn't surprised. The Empire's engineers probably couldn't resist watching him fail. "We need to work faster," he told Nara. "Agreed. Touch the panel directly to your right, press firmly, and hold for 3 seconds. Kang Wu found the panel and pressed it as instructed. The metal felt warm and slightly soft, like living skin. When he lifted his hand, the panel had changed shape to match his palm perfectly. "Fascinating," Nara said. "Your hand patterns are now stored in my memory. Only you will be able to access my primary systems. A gift from me to you." The hangar bay doors slid open. Engineer Jorik Nex stepped inside. followed by several other alien officers. They had expected to find Kang Wu sitting defeated beside the dead ship. Instead, they saw him standing with his hand pressed against a glowing hull panel while lights danced across the vessel's entire surface. "By the void," Jorik whispered. "What has he done?" The other engineers crowded around, pulling out their own instruments to take readings. Their devices immediately began beeping and flashing with data they had never seen before. Power levels were rising steadily throughout the ship. Internal systems were activating in perfect sequence. "Impossible," muttered engineer Thera Quinn, a female with blue skin and silver hair. "The quantum resonance patterns are stabilizing, but that should take hours of careful calibration." Kang Wu ignored the growing crowd and focused on his tablet. Nara was guiding him through the next phase of the awakening process. Each step built on the last, creating a cascade of activation that spread through the ship's systems like morning light chasing away darkness. "Now touch the engine access port," Nara instructed. "My propulsion systems need the most careful attention." Kang Wu found the port and made the connection. Immediately, he felt power flowing through the ship like water rushing through dry pipes. The Starfire Phantom's engines began to sing with a sound like crystal bells ringing in harmony. More aliens rushed into the hangar bay. Word was spreading quickly through the ship that something impossible was happening. Captain Yuan Sato of the Imperial Guard pushed through the crowd, his hand resting on his weapon. "Stand back from the vessel," he ordered Kang Wu. "You could be triggering a self-destruct sequence." "No," Kang Wu replied without looking away from his tablet. "She's just waking up." "She?" Captain Sato looked confused. "The ship has an AI. Her name is Nara. She's been sleeping for 50 years, waiting for someone who could help her wake up properly." The aliens exchanged nervous glances. An active artificial intelligence was far more dangerous than a simple starship. AIs had been known to turn against their creators if they felt threatened. But Nara wasn't showing any signs of hostility. Instead, she was cooperating fully with Kang Wu's efforts to restore her systems. The ship's hull continued to glow brighter as more networks came online. Environmental systems activated, creating a gentle breeze that carried the scent of growing things. Life support engaged, filling the ship's interior with breathable atmosphere. "Final step," Nara announced on Kang Wu's tablet. "I need you to activate my primary consciousness matrix. This will bring me to full awareness for the first time in decades." Kang Wu hesitated. "Will it hurt?" "No more than waking up from a very long dream. But once I am fully awake, there will be no going back. I will be completely alive again, with all the responsibilities that entails. I'm ready if you are. Then place both hands on the hull directly in front of you and speak my true name aloud." Kang Wu pressed his palms against the warm metal. The ship seemed to pulse beneath his touch like a giant heart beating slowly and steadily. "Wind through stars," he said clearly. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Light exploded across the ship's hull in waves of brilliant color. The singing of the engines rose to a crescendo that filled the entire hangar bay with music. Deep inside the vessel, Kang Wu could hear the sound of systems coming to life all at once. The crowd of watching aliens stepped back in alarm as the Starfire Phantom began to rise from the deck. Her landing struts retracted smoothly into the hull, while invisible forces lifted the entire ship into the air. She hovered there for a moment, stable as a mountain despite having no visible means of support. Then she began to move. The ship glided, forward with grace that defied physics. She turned in place without any apparent thrust, her movements as fluid as a dancer's. Warning lights flashed around the hangar bay as automated systems detected an active vessel in flight mode. Magnificent. Nara's voice now came from speakers throughout the ship instead of just Kang Wu's tablet. "I had forgotten how wonderful it feels to fly." The aliens watching from the deck stared in amazement as the impossible ship performed maneuvers that should have been mechanically impossible. She spun on her axis while moving forward, curved through impossibly tight turns, and stopped instantly without any sign of inertial stress. "How long has this taken?" Nara asked. Kang Wu checked. His tablet's timer. He couldn't believe what he saw. 5 minutes, from start to finish, exactly 5 minutes. A new voice boomed across the hangar bay. "What is the meaning of this?" Emperor Vex Tholen strode through the hangar doors, his robes swirling dramatically. Around him, his yellow eyes blazed with a mixture of anger and amazement as he saw his prize ship flying freely through the air. Behind him came his advisors and guards, all looking equally shocked. The Starfire Phantom settled gently back onto the deck, her landing struts extending to support her weight. The lights in her hull dimmed to a soft glow, and her engines returned to a quiet hum. But everyone present could feel the power contained within that sleek form. "Your Majesty," Kang Wu said respectfully, "the ship is repaired." Emperor Tholan's expression shifted from anger to astonishment to something approaching fear. In 5 minutes, a human janitor had accomplished what the Empire's greatest minds couldn't achieve in 50 years. The implications were staggering. "Impossible," the Emperor whispered, but the evidence floated before his eyes, humming with life and power that had been dormant for decades. The impossible had become reality. The hangar bay fell silent except for the gentle humming of the Starfire Phantom's engines. Emperor Tholen stared at the ship with a mixture of wonder and growing alarm. The vessel that had been dead for 50 years now pulsed with life and power that his instruments could barely measure. "This changes everything," whispered court advisor Mora Salen as she approached the Emperor. Her pale hands shook as she held her datapad. "The power readings are beyond our current technology by centuries. If the human truly controls this vessel—" "He doesn't control anything yet," Admiral Zeth Korin interrupted harshly. The military commander stepped forward with his hand on his weapon. "Your Majesty, I recommend we arrest the human immediately. This situation poses a clear threat to Imperial security." Emperor Tholen raised his hand for silence. His yellow eyes never left the ship as he considered his options. Breaking his public promise would destroy his credibility with the noble houses, but honoring it meant giving a single human access to technology that could threaten the Empire itself. Kang Wu stood quietly beside the ship, still holding his tablet. He could feel the tension in the air as dozens of aliens debated his fate. Through his connection with Nara, he sensed her growing concern for his safety. "They fear us." Nara's voice spoke softly from his tablet. "Fear makes beings do dangerous things. We should be careful." "What are my options?" Kang Wu asked quietly. "We could leave immediately. My engines are fully operational now. No ship in the Imperial fleet could catch us. But that would make me a thief. And staying might make you a prisoner. Or worse." Emperor Tholen stepped closer to Kang Wu. The alien ruler was much taller than the human, and his presence was intimidating. But his voice remained calm and measured. "You have surprised us all today, human. In 5 minutes, you accomplished what our greatest minds could not achieve in decades. I confess this creates certain complications. You gave your word." "Your Majesty," Kang Wu replied respectfully. "Before all these witnesses." "Indeed I did. And the word of an emperor is sacred. However, I cannot simply allow you to fly away with technology that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy." Admiral Korin moved closer, flanked by his guards. "Your Majesty, the solution is simple. Honor your promise by transferring ownership, but require the human to serve as an Imperial agent. The ship remains under our control." Several nobles nodded their agreement. It seemed like a reasonable compromise that would save the Emperor's honor while protecting Imperial interests. But Kang Wu felt Nara's systems responding to the perceived threat. The ship's hull began to glow brighter. "I respectfully decline," Kang Wu said firmly. The crowd gasped. No one spoke to the Emperor that way, especially not a human janitor. Admiral Corrin's hand moved to his weapon grip. You decline? Emperor Tholan's voice carried a dangerous edge. Yes, Your Majesty. You offered me ownership of the ship if I could repair it. I have fulfilled my part of the bargain. Now I expect you to honor yours without additional conditions. Arrest him, Admiral Corrin ordered his guards. But as the soldiers stepped forward, the Starfire Phantom rose smoothly into the air. Her landing struts retracted and her hull blazed with protective energy. Warning systems throughout the hangar bay began shrieking as the ship's weapons systems came online. I would not recommend that course of action, Nara's voice boomed from the ship's speakers. Her tone was polite but carried an unmistakable threat. I am quite protective of my partner. The guards froze as they realized they were facing active weapons systems that could vaporize them in seconds. The Starfire Phantom's true combat capabilities were unknown, but no one wanted to test them in such a confined space. Emperor Tholan studied the situation carefully. He was trapped between his promise and his fear, but he was also a skilled politician who understood when to retreat gracefully. Stand down, he ordered his guards. The human has earned his prize fairly. Admiral Corrin looked shocked. Your Majesty, you cannot seriously intend to— I intend to honor my word, the Emperor said firmly. However, I also intend to protect imperial interests. He turned back to Kang Wu. I propose a different arrangement. You keep the ship as promised. In return, I ask that you remain in imperial space as our ally rather than our enemy. What does that mean exactly? Kang Wu asked. It means you are free to go where you choose and do as you wish. But when the Empire faces threats that require your unique capabilities, we may call upon your assistance. Kang Wu considered the offer. It gave him freedom while avoiding making enemies of the most powerful force in the galaxy. But before he could answer, Nara's voice interrupted. Kang Wu, my sensors are detecting something important. Long-range communications arrays throughout the galaxy are lighting up with activity. News of my awakening is spreading faster than we anticipated. Is that bad? He asked. Not bad, but significant. My activation has sent signals across space that certain parties have been waiting to detect. The galaxy is about to become a much more dangerous place. Emperor Tholan caught enough of the conversation to understand the implications. What kind of signals? Nara's voice addressed the entire crowd now. When the builders created ships like me, they included beacon systems. My awakening has alerted other dormant vessels to begin their own activation sequences, but it has also warned the ancient enemies of my people that builder technology is active once again. Ancient enemies? Court Advisor Mora asked nervously. The Devourers. They consume civilizations and their technology, growing stronger with each conquest. They destroyed my creators 1,000 years ago. Now they know that builder ships are awakening. A chill ran through the hangar bay as beings realized the scope of what had been unleashed. This was no longer about one human and one ship. It was about the survival of galactic civilization itself. Emperor Tholan made his decision. Human, I formally recognize your ownership of the vessel known as Starfire Phantom. In return, I request that you accept the title of Imperial Ally with all the rights and protections that entails. Kang Wu looked up at the ship floating above them. His simple repair job had become something much larger and more dangerous than he had ever imagined. But there was no going back now. I accept, he said. And across the galaxy, ancient signals continued to spread through the darkness, calling both allies and enemies to action. 3 days after the awakening of the Starfire Phantom, the galaxy began to respond. Reports flooded in from across Imperial space about strange signals and mysterious energy readings. Ancient artifacts that had sat dead in museums for centuries suddenly showed signs of life. Dormant ships found in deep space started broadcasting location beacons. Kang Wu sat in the captain's chair of his new ship, studying the flood of information on the main display. The chair had reshaped itself to fit his human form perfectly, and the controls had adapted to his hands and reflexes. Everything about the Starfire Phantom seemed designed to work with him rather than against him. "How many ships are out there?" he asked Nara. "My long-range sensors have detected 17 confirmed awakenings so far," the AI replied. "But there are likely hundreds more that remain hidden or too distant to detect. The builders scattered their technology across the galaxy before their final defeat. And the Devourers? 3 scout fleets have been detected moving toward Galactic Center from the Outer Rim. They are still months away, but they are definitely coming." Emperor Tholan had given Kang Wu quarters aboard the Void Sovereign while they figured out what to do next. The arrangement was tense, but functional. The Imperial crew treated him with nervous respect, unsure how to react to a human who commanded. Technology beyond their understanding. The communications console chimed with an incoming message. "Priority transmission from the Democratic Federation," Nara announced. The main screen filled with the image of a tall female alien with green skin and elaborate tattoos covering her arms. She wore the formal robes of a Federation diplomat. "I'm Ambassador Yella Tran of the Democratic Federation," she said. "I wish to speak with the human known as Kang Wu regarding matters of mutual interest." Kang Wu had been expecting this. The Federation and the Empire were rivals, though they avoided open war. News of builder technology becoming active would definitely interest them. "Put her through," he told Nara. Ambassador Tran's expression was carefully neutral as she studied Kang Wu through the communication link. "Mr. Kang Wu, I congratulate you on your remarkable achievement. The Federation has monitored the awakening of your vessel with great interest." "Thank you, Ambassador. What can I do for you?" "We understand that builder technology is beginning to activate throughout the galaxy. The Federation believes this presents an opportunity for cooperation rather than conflict. We would like to propose a formal alliance." Before Kang Wu could respond, another transmission interrupted. This time, the screen showed a massive alien in military armor. His skin was dark red and covered with battle scars. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding stone. "I am War Commander Brackthorn of the Hegemony," the alien announced. "Human, you will surrender the builder vessel immediately. Resistance will result in the destruction of your ship and all aboard it." Ambassador Tran's image split the screen. With the war commanders. The contrast between diplomacy and threats was stark. Kang Wu found himself caught between competing galactic powers, each trying to claim or control the technology he had awakened. "Commander Thorn," Ambassador Tran said coldly, "threats of violence violate established interstellar law." "The hegemony recognizes no law but strength," Brackthorn replied. "Builder technology belongs to those with the power to use it properly." Kang Wu held up his hand for silence. "Both of you are making assumptions about me and my ship. I'm not looking for new masters or political alliances. I just want to understand what's happening and how to deal with these Devourers." "The Devourers are irrelevant," War Commander Thorn dismissed. "They are a myth used to frighten children." "They are very real," Nara's voice cut in, "and they are coming whether you believe in them or not." Ambassador Tran leaned forward with interest. "Your ship's AI has knowledge of these creatures?" "I have extensive records of the war that destroyed my creators," Nara replied. "The Devourers are biomechanical entities that consume civilizations and integrate their technology into their own systems. They grow stronger with each conquest." "How do we fight them?" Kang Wu asked. "Not with conventional weapons. The Devourers absorb and adapt to most forms of attack. My creators learned that the only effective defense was technology that could evolve faster than the enemy could adapt. But it requires operators with both logical minds and creative intuition." "Humans," Ambassador Tran said with sudden understanding. "Precisely. Your species has the cognitive flexibility that builder technology was designed to work with," But one ship and one human will not be enough to face what is coming. The communication was interrupted by alarms throughout the Void Sovereign. Emperor Tholan's voice echoed through the ship's corridors. All hands to battle stations. Unknown vessels approaching at high speed. Kang Wu cut the communications and ran to the hangar bay where the Starfire Phantom waited. Nara was already powering up her systems when he arrived. "What's happening?" he asked as he boarded. 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. They're not broadcasting any identification signals, and their energy signatures don't match any known species. The hangar bay doors opened as the Starfire Phantom lifted smoothly into space. Around them, the Imperial fleet was scrambling to respond to the unexpected visitors. Dozens of warships moved into defensive formations while fighters launched from carrier bays. "Can you identify the unknown ships?" Kang Wu asked. "Scanning now," Nara replied. "Their hull composition is unusual, part metal, part organic material. Their power systems are based on consumed matter rather than conventional fuel sources." A chill ran down Kang Wu's spine. "Devourers?" "No, but something related. These appear to be advanced scouts. They're smaller and faster than the main Devourer vessels, designed for reconnaissance and harassment." The lead scout ship suddenly accelerated toward the Imperial fleet. As it approached, its hull began to shift and flow like liquid metal. Weapon ports opened across its surface, revealing energy cannons that glowed with sickly green light. "All ships, open fire," came the order from the Imperial flagship. Laser beams and missile strikes converged on the scout ship. But instead of being destroyed, the vessel absorbed the energy and grew larger. Its hull rippled as it integrated the attack power into its own systems. "Just like Nara said," Kang Wu muttered. "They adapt to conventional weapons." "But not to builder technology," Nara added. "Shall we show them what we can do?" Kang Wu gripped the controls as the Starfire Phantom dove toward the enemy scout. Unlike the predictable weapons of the Imperial fleet, Nara's systems were constantly evolving. Her energy beams shifted frequency and intensity with each shot, never giving the enemy time to adapt. The scout ship tried to absorb the first blast, but the energy tore through its adaptive defenses like fire through paper. The second shot caused its hull to buckle and crack. The third shot sent it tumbling through space, leaking atmosphere and sparking with electrical discharge. The other 2 scouts immediately changed course and fled back toward the edge of the system. Within minutes, they had jumped to hyperspace and disappeared. "Warning delivered," Nara said with satisfaction. But Kang Wu knew this was just the beginning. The scout ships would report back to their masters that builder technology was active and defending this system. Soon, much larger forces would come to investigate. He opened a channel to the Imperial flagship. "Your Majesty, I think we need to talk about forming a real alliance. This is bigger than any one nation can handle alone." Emperor Tholan's response was immediate. "Agreed, and I believe we'll need to include the Federation and even the hegemony in our discussions. United, we might survive. Divided, we certainly won't." As the Starfire Phantom returned to the hangar bay, Kang Wu realized his life as a simple janitor was truly over. He was now at the center of a galactic conflict that would determine the survival of every living being in known space. 2 weeks later, representatives from across the galaxy gathered aboard the massive space station called Harmony Point. The neutral facility had been built years ago for diplomatic meetings between the major powers. Now it hosted the most important conference in galactic history. Kang Wu sat at the main conference table, still amazed to find himself among emperors, presidents, and war leaders. To his left sat Emperor Tholan of the Zellarian Empire. To his right was President Chen Mira of ACE, the Democratic Federation. Across the table, war leader Brack Thorn of the Hegemony glared at everyone with obvious impatience. "The situation is simple," President Mira was saying. "Our long-range sensors confirm that Devourer fleets are moving toward inhabited systems throughout the galaxy. Conservative estimates suggest they will reach core worlds within 6 months. Then we fight, War Leader Thorn declared. The hegemony has faced extinction before and survived. Not against enemies like this, Kang Wu replied quietly. Nara has shown me historical records of the last war. The Devourers consumed entire star systems. Billions of beings died. Your ship's AI could be mistaken, suggested Admiral Corrin. Ancient records are often unreliable. I am not mistaken, Nara's voice spoke from the conference room speakers. I lived through that war. I watched my creators die fighting an enemy that grew stronger with every victory. The room fell silent. Few beings had direct experience with artificial intelligence, and fewer still trusted one. But Nara's calm certainty was hard to argue with. What do you recommend? Emperor Tholan asked. We need more builder ships, Kang Wu said. And more humans to operate them. How many more? President Mira inquired. Nara answered for him. My long-range sensors have detected 37 dormant builder vessels throughout the galaxy. If we can awaken and crew them all, we might have enough firepower to face the Devourer fleets. And how many humans do you estimate can interface with builder technology? Emperor Tholan asked. Unknown. The ability appears to be related to cognitive flexibility and intuitive problem-solving. Not all humans will have the necessary mental patterns. War Leader Thorn leaned forward aggressively. This plan requires trusting primitive humans with the most advanced technology in the galaxy, the hegemony objects. The hegemony is welcome to face the Devourers alone, Kang Wu replied calmly. But if you want our help, you'll need to accept that humans are the key to using builder technology effectively. Before Thorn could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red as the station's commander announced an urgent message. All personnel to emergency stations. Multiple unknown contacts detected approaching at high speed. Estimated arrival. In 20 minutes, the conference members rushed to the station's command center. The main display showed dozens of dark shapes moving through space toward Harmony Point. Unlike normal ships, these vessels seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved in perfect formation, like a school of predatory fish. Devourers, Nara confirmed grimly. A full battle fleet. They must have tracked the diplomatic communications to this location. How many ships? President Mira asked. 47 confirmed contacts. More may be hidden behind sensor shadows. War Leader Thorn activated his communicator. Hegemony Fleet. Prepare for immediate combat. Show these creatures the strength of our weapons. Commander Thorn, Kang Wu said urgently. Conventional weapons will only make them stronger. You need to let us handle this. I will not hide behind human children while my warriors fight. The hegemony warships moved forward in attack formation. Their massive guns opened fire as soon as the Devourers came within range. Energy beams and explosive missiles lit up space in a spectacular display of firepower. But just as had happened during the scout encounter, the Devourer ships absorbed the attacks and grew larger. Their hulls rippled and flowed as they integrated the new energy into their systems. What had been 47 ships became 51 as some vessels split into multiple units. All hegemony ships, fall back immediately, Kang Wu ordered over the communication system. You have no authority to give orders to my fleet, Thorn roared. Then watch them die, Nara replied coldly. On the display, 3 hegemony destroyers suddenly went dark as Devourer boarding pods attached to their hulls. Within minutes, the ship's own weapons turned against their former allies. The Devourers had not just absorbed the energy attacks, they had learned to use the ships themselves as weapons. Retreat order confirmed, Thorn said through gritted teeth. All ships fall back to minimum safe distance. The Starfire Phantom launched from Harmony Point's docking bay, followed by 2 other builder ships that had been discovered and awakened in recent weeks. Their human pilots were Kim Soo, a former engineer who had shown natural ability with builder interfaces, and Park Jin, a maintenance worker whose intuitive understanding of complex systems had proven invaluable. 3 ships against 50, Emperor, Tholen observed grimly. The odds are not favorable, but the builder ships fought differently than conventional vessels. Instead of relying on brute force, they used adaptive weapons that changed with each shot. Nara's energy beams shifted frequency and intensity randomly, never giving the Devourers time to adapt. Kim Su's ship fired projectiles that changed their composition mid-flight. Park Jin's vessel released clouds of nanobots that attacked enemy systems from within. The Devourer formation began to break apart as ships found themselves unable to adapt to the constantly changing attacks. Several enemy vessels exploded as their absorption systems overloaded. Others tumbled through space, their biomechanical systems confused and failing. But there were still too many enemies. The 3 builder ships were vastly outnumbered, and even their advanced technology had limits. "We need reinforcements," Kim Su reported over the communication channel. "Reinforcements are coming," Nara announced. "I am detecting builder ship signatures throughout the system. Dormant vessels are awakening in response to the battle." On the long-range display, new contacts began appearing. Ancient ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields and dead moons suddenly came to life. Their builder AIs, awakened by the sounds of battle, began seeking human operators. "Any human with technical experience report to the nearest builder vessel immediately," President Mira announced across all frequencies. "The galaxy needs you." Across the system, humans who had been working as engineers, mechanics, and technicians found themselves called to something greater. Many had never flown a ship before, but the builder AIs guided them through the process. Within an hour, 23 builder vessels had joined the fight. The tide of battle began to turn. The Devourers, faced with multiple sources of unpredictable technology, found their adaptive systems overwhelmed. Ships that had seemed invincible minutes before began to retreat toward the edge of the system. "This is just the first wave," Nara warned as the last Devourer ship jumped to hyperspace. "They will return with larger fleets and new strategies. Then we'll be ready for them," Kang Wu replied. "We have something they don't expect." "What's that?" Emperor Tholen asked. "Humans who refuse to give up, and technology that learns from every battle." As the diplomatic conference reconvened, the tone had changed completely. No one questioned humanity's role anymore. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had just saved the galaxy's most important leaders from annihilation. "The Human Builder Alliance is hereby officially recognized," President Mira announced. "All member worlds will provide support for training human pilots and awakening dormant builder vessels." Even war leader Thorn nodded his agreement. "The hegemony will honor this alliance. Your warriors have proven their worth in battle." Kang Wu looked around the table at beings who had once seen him as nothing more than a janitor. Now they looked to him and his fellow humans as their last hope against an ancient evil. "We'll do our best," he promised. "But we're going to need everyone's help. This isn't humanity's war or the Empire's war or the Federation's war. It's everyone's war." As the conference continued, Nara's voice spoke privately to Kang Wu through his personal communicator. "You have exceeded all my expectations," she said warmly. "The builders would be proud to see what their legacy has become." "We're not builders," Kang Wu replied. "We're something new. Something that combines the best of both our peoples." "Yes," Nara agreed. "And perhaps that will be enough to save the galaxy." Outside the station, builder ships patrolled the space lanes, while their human partners learned to use technology beyond their wildest dreams. The janitor, who had fixed a broken ship in 5 minutes, had become the leader of a new age. The galaxy would never be the same.